If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to an abbreviated edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, talking a little bit of wrestling as we make our way to WWE Extreme Rules coming up in mid-May. Also, Slammiversary for TNA, that's coming up in the beginning of June. So, little bits and pieces of developments going on. No official matches announced, at least on the TNA website, for Slammiversary, coming up about 5 weeks or so from now. But we have 3 matches already set on the card for Extreme Rules and more to develop as the weeks go on. Let me quick run those by you. You've got John Cena and Ryback for the WWE Championship. And then the triple threat match for the world title. Dolph Ziggler defending against Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger. And then, well, this past Monday, a third match, at least the challenge was set the week prior. And, of course, Paul Heyman on behalf of Brock Lesnar issuing the challenge to Triple H for kind of the rubber match between the two after Brock Lesnar's win at SummerSlam last year and Triple H evening the score at WrestleMania a few weeks ago. Now the challenge being thrown out for a steel cage match, and here's what happened on Raw to set that match up.
Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for, where you get to hear the answer from a first ballot Hall of Famer himself, Triple H. Only, ladies and gentlemen, Triple H is not here at Raw this evening. I don't blame you. I feel the very same way. I, much like every member of the WWE Universe, have been let down by Triple H. Now, I know that my reputation is that of a liar. How I got that, I will never know. But I have received an email from Triple H, and I want to read it to you verbatim right this moment. Paul, because I guess we're on a first-name basis now, I've never run from a fight in my life. But due to my current injuries, I will give you my answer next week. Next week. Next week, I offered to stand in this very ring and look Triple H in the eye and shake his hand and say, "Sir, I respect you and I admire you." And much like each and every one of you, I have been let down by this gutless coward who didn't have the manhood to appear here tonight like I did here in London.
Uh-oh. Could it be? Is he here? He is! And that's no coward, ladies and gentlemen!
I applaud you. You got me. I played the game and you won. I got the email and I read it. Well played. My compliments.
See right there?
Yes.
I lied. And here's the thing.
Please.
I want you to go back home
Please.
and tell Brock Lesnar, I accept.
Oh, look out! Oh, look out! Yes! Are we going to see a pedigree on the Walrus? Yes!
And that seems to be your, at least for the moment, one extreme of any kind match. You've got the steel cage match between Triple H and Brock Lesnar to go on with the two championship matches. Dolph Ziggler defending against Del Rio and Swagger, as well as John Cena defending the WWE Championship against Ryback. So those are the three matches set up for Extreme Rules at the moment. And we're going to go ahead and make our way over to the phones where we've got Ron, who's been hanging on. Ron, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
How you doing this week?
Not too bad. What's on your mind, Ron?
This was a week where there's an old saying, be careful what you wish for, you might get it.
And what in this case did we get that you feel that we shouldn't have wished for?
Yeah, well, it's like Paul Heyman, I just heard the clip. And it's like, Paul Heyman opened his big mouth, and look what it got him. He accepted the challenge, and that was the best thing to do. But you see, this is the kind of challenge that would be a good match for like a WrestleMania type, not I call these other pay-per-views preliminaries, because they're not like WrestleMania. And the fact that he answered the challenge, it should be a good match. Maybe they'll shut up Brock Lesnar once and for all.
Well, I don't know necessarily about shutting him up per se, but you do make an interesting point in that a lot of the pay-per-views, other than WrestleMania, other than maybe the Royal Rumble, they do seem like preliminaries. I mean, have WWE fans, has the WWE Universe been conditioned that other than WrestleMania and maybe the Royal Rumble, that all the other pay-per-views are just kind of there, whether it's a SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Extreme Rules, Hell in a Cell, TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, Elimination Chamber. They all just seem like they're kind of they're there. They're just kind of roadblocks to WrestleMania each year.
Yeah, well, they're not, to me, they're not like money makers like WrestleMania does every year. They do it, and then when they put things on free TV, like, all right, they put a match between, all right, I'll give you an example. You got a match with The Undertaker this past week on Raw. It's the first time, and then last time on SmackDown, first time you've seen The Undertaker, he normally doesn't come, he only comes out like once a year, right after Raw, WrestleMania, he's gone until the next WrestleMania. I mean, this is the first. I mean, does this mean he's going to retire at the end of next year's WrestleMania? Or is he just doing this because he needs the money?
Well, I wholeheartedly agree that WWE dropped the ball on hyping both of Undertaker's matches this past week on Raw and SmackDown, respectively. It was just kind of an afterthought when we've only seen him wrestle maybe 3 times in the past 2 years, and now all of a sudden he's wrestling twice in 1 week. That should have been a huge, I mean, that's something that they should have been building up for at least a week or so, maybe 2 weeks even, to say, tune in. Raw's going to be from England. SmackDown's going to be from England. The Undertaker is set to be there. This will be the first time that he's wrestled on Raw in 3 years, the first time he's wrestled on SmackDown, and I think even longer than that. And they could have done a lot more to hype it up, and they most definitely didn't. And as far as kind of getting pay-per-view matches for free, looking back to SmackDown last night, you saw a WrestleMania rematch on SmackDown in Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger. Granted, the title had nothing to do with it, but it's a match that we just saw 3 weeks ago at the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Well, is it me, or maybe I'm wrong, but did you notice that the Shield, nobody seems to have been able to beat the Shield? It took the Undertaker to come around. All right, Blanchard, they had that 6-man tag team match with Kane and Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan caused them to lose the match. But when you bring the Undertaker back into the fold, he beats a Shield member last night, and that's the first time they've ever been beaten. I mean, I thought they were going to be unstoppable. It's like the Undertaker himself when he goes for the streak. Is there anybody can end that streak? I mean, we were talking over, me and a friend. We said if John Cena can't, maybe John Cena. I don't know who can they get? Mark Henry again? Somebody that's they did it with Yokozuna and all those other guys that couldn't do it. Somebody's got to end the streak.
Well, they definitely, I was going to say, I don't think they're going to go back to a Mark Henry match or have him team up with Sweet Tea back when he was Albert going back for that, I think it was a 2-on-1 handicap type deal. Or no, that was it. I'm sorry, that was Albert in the Big Show. I'm getting them all, I know, so many matches with The Undertaker and Mania, I'm getting them all mixed up here. That's right. Henry was the casket match. It's all rattling around up there in my brain somewhere. But, I mean, considering how strong Cena was made to look at the end of Raw, it almost seems like Cena would have to be a Mania challenger for Taker at some point, considering that not only did Cena fend off all three members of the Shield, but he also dominated Ryback, who is supposed to be the number one contender, the biggest threat to the WWE Championship, and Cena handled not one but four men. It's, I don't know, I think it's getting just a skosh ridiculous, but that's just my thoughts. Also, over in TNA, it looks like history repeating itself in a sense, as Bully Ray calling out Hulk Hogan to confront him, and here's what went on with that.
Do you know who I am? I'm Bully Ray. I'm the president of the Aces and Eights. I'm the world heavyweight champion. I'm your son-in-law. I'm the guy that's gonna put an end to Hulkamania.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can't put an end to Hulkamania because Hulkamania will never die, brother.
The Hulkster blocks the right hand, and now we see the power of the Python. No! Hulk stands his ground, and Bully Ray bails. Now where's the confidence now, Taz? Yeah, where's Bully Ray doing this on his own, all alone, Taz? Nobody expected that. Nobody expected that.
Surround him! Surround him!
Oh, uneasy feeling. Bully couldn't do it by himself. They've got the ring surrounded. Aces and Eights closing in. What the hell? Oh my God. Sting! Oh yeah! This might be an absolute nightmare for Hulk Hogan. You're damn right! Yeah, we've seen the issues between Hulk Hogan and Sting for months. The actions of Aces and Eights driving a wedge between Hogan and Sting. No! Yes! No! And the Icon unloading with that classic equalizer here, taking out the Aces and Eights, and look at that, a right hand by the Hulkster himself. These two legends, these two icons have cleared the ring. You can still feel it though. You can still feel the tension between Sting and Hogan. Yeah, we can't forget. Hogan told Sting, "Get the hell out of my ring." What's going through the head of the Stinger, and what's going through the mind of the Hulkster? I have no idea what just happened. I have no clue how Hogan pulled a rabbit out of his hat. And what the hell, Sting showing up here?
The lights going out, and then the lights coming back up, and Sting shows up. It's 1997 all over again. Sting, Hogan, conflict. Only this time around, their combined age is 112. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Yeah, two wrestlers, combined age 112. If my math is right, 59 and 53. Sarshik, you're a college guy. Am I okay on the math there?
59, 53. Looks like
112. Okay, just making sure. Trying to keep you involved here. You know.
Now I'm the math guy.
Exactly. Well, yeah, the math guy, the phones guy, the pro sports guy, as opposed to sports entertainment. We're trying to bring you into the fold a little bit.
There we go.
Speaking of which, I got something right up your alley coming up in a little bit. Jim Ross, the longtime voice of WWE, inviting an NFL prospect to perhaps join the WWE. So we'll get into that a little bit on the other side as we're taking you to 12:30 and Phillies pregame coverage, Phillies and Mets at Citi Field. And a programming note for next week. Oh, this should certainly be a goodie. Next week, it's going to be an Access kind of wrap up, I guess. All the quick hit interviews that we got up at WrestleMania Access a couple weeks ago between Mike Samsel and I tag teaming up for that. We're going to have those for you. Just to give you a couple of names out there: Damian Sandow, Kofi Kingston, William Regal. Just to name a few. We'll get a couple of those. We'll get those quick hit interviews. That'll all be on next week's show. So that should certainly be a goodie.
Aged a bit. So, aging's never a bad thing.
Yeah, well, you got to let them, you got to let them marinate a little bit. That's definitely what you're looking for. I've also got some other news and notes. A WWE diva sent home from the European tour. We'll talk about that. Also, a lot more Rock news over the course of this past week as he had surgery. We'll talk about that. Also, a little more WrestleMania 29 info and a Scott Hall update as well. Yeah, we'll take care of business in a little bit. Also, CM Punk, he's going to be appearing at UFC 159 tonight. Are you an MMA fan at all there, or is that one of these sports that you don't follow? One of the few and far between.
MMA, I know a little. It's the John Bone Jones, right? It's his
John
fight.
Bones Jones. Yep.
His brother Chandler Jones was at Syracuse Orange, and he was drafted by the New England Patriots, and also his other brother is on the Baltimore Ravens. I
haven't seen Syracuse knowledge like that since our old news director Steve Wanzik. little name dropping.
And I think I saw the guy he's going up against is
Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, he does a nice job self-promoting himself there. He's a bit of a comes from a different cloth, I'd say.
And I think that's why Punk's kind of gearing toward him. CM Punk appearing at tonight's pay-per-view up in Newark, New Jersey. And according to the pay-per-view headliner, Chael Sonnen, Punk will be in the locker room before Sonnen's fight against John Bones Jones, and then Punk will be at ringside for the fight. Dana White hooking him up with some ringside seats.
Okay.
Although, usually when you see ringside seats in wrestling, that means a wrestler's going to jump the barricade and get into the ring and get into the action in some way, shape, or form. Don't think that Punk's going to necessarily be doing that here.
I was going to ask you, with MMA seems to be one of the faster-growing sports out there. Would you ever see any WWE guys making, maybe not a complete switch, but dabbling a bit in there?
Well, it's funny that you ask that. There has been a lot of that, probably most notably Brock Lesnar.
That's right. I thought Lesnar. See, with me, I thought Lesnar started out in MMA and went.
Oh, youngins! Oh, you and your youth. You and your youth.
Well, that's where I first heard of Lesnar.
That was where you first heard of Lesnar
as an MMA guy.
To be fair, when Lesnar was in WWE, you were like 10. So
okay. There, give me some credit here.
So I'll give you a little bit of credit. Yeah, but no, Lesnar, of course, was big in the amateur ranks. I believe a University of Minnesota Golden Gopher, if my memory serves me right. All-American, in the amateur ranks of wrestling, and jumped right up to the pros in 2002. Wrestled in WWE all the way up through 2004. Right after WrestleMania 20, he left in a match against Goldberg, and then decided to try out NFL football. He tried out for the Minnesota Vikings, made the practice squad, eventually got cut, and then decided to transition over to UFC, and you saw the dominance that he had declared there.
I could see Lesnar as a nice stout linebacker.
I think they had him on the D line, if I remember right. I'll have to look that up during the break. Try to get some, get some football. Brock Lesnar football knowledge going. Not that I have a whole lot of that.
We do it all here on Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. We cover all bases. or at least we feebly attempt to. Good stuff. But yeah, some other examples. I know Kurt Angle's attempted to dabble with it. Batista did a couple of fights for, I think, Strikeforce.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there have been some wrestlers who have dabbled in it, and you haven't really seen too much crossover the other way. Probably the one you have to go back to, and I know this is, yeah, you would have been like 4 or 5 when this happened, but Ken Shamrock, longtime UFC, one of the originators back when UFC was starting to get off the ground in the mid to late 90s. Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn made the jump over to the World Wrestling Federation for a little bit in 97, 98, 99.
Okay. Also, in that, you ever see the movie Warrior?
I have not.
2000. That's a great movie. Great MMA. Tom Hardy. That's one you got to check out.
Yeah, I'll add it to my 8 billion list of movies that I still have to see. For as much wrestling knowledge as I have, movies, not so much. I get a lot of heat for that. Speaking of heat, I'm going to get some heat if I don't take care of some business here. We'll come back. We'll get into some of the news and notes, including that JR NFL prospect story. I'm sure you're intrigued by that, especially since you're constantly checking your phone for updates now. For Eagle fans out there, the Eagles drafting Matt Barkley, the quarterback out of USC, in the 4th round.
Only giving up a 7th round pick to move up 3 spots there in the first pick in the 4th round. But another Barkley, now in Philadelphia.
Another one. One of many, yes. I don't think this one's going to necessarily be terrible. Yeah, I had to throw that out there. All right, coming back with more insanity. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.